It's your boy Busy, back at it again, and today we'll be discussing a little MTG, more specifically the new set Duskmourn that drops just a week from today, September 24th to be more specific. The set's super cool, a lot of horror tropes, a lot of scary imagery, nightmare creatures and the like. So with that in mind, I figured I'd look over a few of my favorite cards from the set, more specifically the artwork. I will be discussing the cards themselves, but more specifically the art on the cards is what I'm really looking at. So let's go ahead and not waste any more time and look over these cards. Starting things off strong, we do have Enduring Innocence here. This is the showcase variant of the card. For 1 and a white, we get a 2/1 enchantment creature Sheep Glimmer with lifelink, and whenever one or more other creatures you control with power 2 or less enter, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn, and when Enduring Innocence dies, if it was a creature, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. It's an enchantment, it's not a creature. I just love this artwork. Enduring Innocence, it's so innocent. I mean, look at this thing. It's like a little baby sheep. It's got like this super over-exaggerated head. It's really large. It's essentially a spirit jumping around here inside the mansion. It does appear to be distorting maybe like the space-time of the mansion as it moves around. Around the creature also, I guess, is other innocent things. We got this little doll, little teacup here, little feather, little quill. Pretty nice card all around. I just love this artwork specifically. It's got the little stars in its eyes. It's just an absolutely adorable card here. Not necessarily a strong card. A 3-mana 2/1 with lifelink might have been good a few years ago, but that booty is just so small. I mean, 1 toughness is just so bad. Next up, we got Aliens, baby. Fear of Abduction here. For 4 and white, we have a 5/5 enchantment creature, Nightmare. As an additional cost to cast this spell, exile the creature you control. It has flying. Whenever Fear of Abduction enters, exile target creature an opponent controls. When Fear of Abduction leaves the battlefield, put each card exiled into its owner's hand. Again, not necessarily an amazing card. 6-mana 5/5 flyer isn't bad, but you do have to exile a creature you control. This can be good with certain blink effects, but more specifically, we have aliens now in Magic. We have aliens. We got ET running around, and this artwork depicts it so vividly. You got the bed here. You're laying in bed at night, and you hear something out your window. You see a little glimmer of light. You think it's just a passing car. But then you realize there's no road next to your house. Oh no. Yeah, aliens, UFOs, aliens, we get those here in the set. I love it that they brought aliens and, UFOs to the set, because it is a huge thing people are afraid of. It is a large fear that exists. The fear of abduction. And this card, I think the artwork is just exceptional. Fernando Falcon did such a great job here. I do sort of wish the head was separate from the bed. This imagery is kind of giving me the appearance that the alien head is connected to the bed. But other than that, maybe he's just absorbing its essence. He really wants that bed. Next up, we have Jump Scare. 1 white is an instant. Until end of turn, target creature gets +2/+2, gains flying, and becomes a horror enchantment creature in addition to its other types. Boo. Flavor text simply reads, boo. Absolutely iconic. I just love that this card, is a white card, but the artwork is really, this would be a black card in my opinion. The Jump Scare, white isn't traditionally scary. It isn't traditionally a horror. Doesn't traditionally fall into the scarier side of horror. But I do like that here in Duskmourn, even white gets to partake in some scary activities. It sort of reminds me of the Phyrexians. Even the white Phyrexians were pretty scary creatures. And this is definitely a scary artwork. I would hate to see this crawling from under my bed. Just imagine it. Next up, like I just mentioned, in white here we have Overlord of the Mistmoors, 5 and white for a 6/6 enchantment creature avatar horror. Impending 4 for 2 of any color. Yeah, Impending 4 for 2 and white, and whenever Overlord of the Mistmoors enters or attacks, create 2 2/1 white insect creature tokens with flying. Beautiful stuff. Impending basically means you can pay 4 and then put 4 time counters on the Overlord, and then at the beginning of your upkeep you remove a time counter, and eventually you will be playing the Overlord for free. But in my opinion, Impending isn't the greatest ability. I do like that it provides you with 2 2/1 white insect creature tokens with flying when it attacks and when it enters, which is just super nice. You know, it's good to have all those bodies on the field, especially in a world of sacrifice. You know, your opponent makes you sacrifice something. You don't necessarily want to sacrifice your Overlord of the Mistmoors. Overall, though, the artwork is super terrifying. That's why I picked this specific showcase variant here. I absolutely love these like antlers. Its face is just super horrific. It's got these charms around its neck. Maybe it gives it some sort of vitality. Either way, disgusting stuff. Beautiful. Next up, we got Reluctant Role Model. 1 and a white for a 2/2 creature human survivor. And it has Survival, a new mechanic out of the set. At the beginning of your second main phase, if the Reluctant Role Model is tapped, put a flying, lifelink, or a +1/+1 counter on it. Pretty strong ability. And whenever the Reluctant Role Model or another creature you control dies, if it had counters on it, put those counters on up to 1 target creature. Really solid all around, but I really want to focus on this art. So we got this dude here. You know, he's a role model. He's in the halls. He's got what appears to be like a futuristic hockey stick, maybe some sort of mace or a war axe. He's got this beautiful little blazer on, this nice little detector, probably for ghosts or, you know, spirits. But he's completely missing the enemy in the room, which is this guy back here crawling around on the walls. You know, buddy, turn around. Turn around, you know? He's right here. Anyways, this thing behind him, it's what really draws me to the art. This thing right here, you wouldn't want to mess with. It's absolutely disgusting, revolting creature. And I don't know if our Reluctant Role Model is even aware of its existence. Another thing to note that I don't really get is why his clothes are so immaculate. I mean, dude is wearing like a $300 Gucci vest. You know, got the freaking goose down included. I mean, whew. Not even a scratch on it. Not even a scuff. Not even a little bit of a turd, you know, from wiping his hands on there. You know, nothing. You know, he doesn't even have a scratch on his body. I mean, this dude's... he's never even seen battle. Pretty sure. Next up, baby. Moving on to blue, we have Abhorrent Oculus. 3 mana, 5/5. So for 2 in the blue, it's a 5/5 creature eye. As an additional cost to cast this spell, exile 6 cards from your graveyard. It has flying. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, Manifest Dread, which is a new mechanic out of the new set. And Manifest Dread says, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one onto the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature, and the other into your graveyard. Turn it face up anytime its mana cost. You can turn the card face up anytime for its mana cost if it's a creature card. Yeah, this card's pretty strong. The fact that you have to exile 6 cards from your graveyard is kind of a lot. Can be done. Will it be done very often? You know, maybe if you build around it. But more importantly, look at this. Look at this artwork. I mean, we've got this monstrous eye. Not sure what it's connected to. Possibly nothing. It's got these tendrils coming out. Sort of reminds me of like a beholder from like D&D. The eye itself is like claws all around the iris of the eye. And it appears to be attacking like a little group of people here. What's even stranger is the people are walking on this ledge, which seems to be, you know, overlooking this water. It's like on a lake, which is all still inside the mansion. I mean, all this is happening in the mansion. You can actually see the windows and doorways of the mansion here in the back. It's a huge mansion, okay? Well, the whole world. It's just huge. I just love this card. Abhorrent Oculus. Absolutely disgusting. Next, Fear of Isolation. 1 and a blue for a 2/3 enchantment creature, Nightmare, and is as an additional cost to cast a spell. Return a permanent you control to its owner's hand. It has flying. Not the greatest card. It can do things. It's got a little booty on it. It's got flying. It's relevant. It's an enchantment creature. That's pretty relevant in the current set, in this new set. But again, let's just focus on this art. So we got like this freaky bird thing that doesn't have legs. It actually has like humanoid arms with hands as its feet, and those are just popping out everywhere, like all over its like wings and bottom. And then it has more hands for hands, and then it's got its mouth open with a face inside the mouth. And there's like a bunch of spirits and ghosts pouring out of this thing. Absolutely hideous. Imagine seeing this in the woods. Just imagine. You're taking a stroll in the bushes, and this thing pops out. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Let me know down in the comments. What are you going to do if this thing tries to fight you? It's got all the hands. It wants all the smoke. Next up, baby. Ooh, I don't know if I want to do this when it's sideways, and I didn't turn the card around, but... So we have Mirror Room and Fractured Realm here. This is a new mechanic out of the new set, which is a room. Basically, rooms are enchantments that allow you to cast either side of the card. You know, one side at first, and then once the card enters the battlefield, at any point in the game, you can then cast the second side of the room. And then once you unlock the room, you know, things happen. Certain cards want rooms to be completely unlocked, and this card itself is a nice showcase of the room ability. So we have the Mirror Room. It's 2 and a blue. And whenever you unlock this door, create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it's a reflection in addition to its other creature types. Not very strong, but it's pretty good little room there for 3 mana. Not really a bad entry as far as rooms go. And then for 7 mana, you get Fractured Realm. It's 5 blue. If a triggered ability of a permanent you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. Super potent stuff. The fact that it costs 7 mana is a little taxing, but in the right deck, this can definitely be, it can be accomplished. More specifically, this artwork is really what it's all about, baby. So on the Mirror Room side, obviously we have a dude in a room looking through a mirror. He's pretty scared, as is tradition here on Duskmourn. And on the Fractured Realm side, it is in fact a whole nother realm of existence, completely filled with just eldritch horrors, terrifying creatures, people with 6 mouths, people with 100 eyes. You're gonna get it all over here in the Fractured Realm, you know. So we're already in a horror, you know, we're already in a horror realm. So for the fact that there is a Fractured Realm on the other side of this realm that's even worse, that's all I gotta say. Next up, Silent Hall Creeper, baby. And it's 1 and a blue for a 1/1 enchantment creature horror. Silent Hall Creeper can't be blocked, and whenever Silent Hall Creeper deals combat damage to a player, choose one that hasn't been chosen. Put 2/1/1 counters on Silent Hell Creeper, draw a card, or Silent Hell Creeper becomes a copy of another target creature you control. Absolutely strong. It is just a 1/1, little measly boy here, but he can't be blocked, and he has a multitude of abilities here. He can make himself a 3/3, he can draw you a card, or he can just become some larger creature later in the game. But what's even more important about this card, you may have a little deja vu here, because we actually already saw this card right here in Reluctant Role Model. If you look closely in the background, like I mentioned previously, there's our boy. There's the Hellcrawler. There's the Hall Crawler right there in the background, dude. Absolutely disgusting. Yeah, so there he is. He's just silently hall crawling. Man. Next up, we got just a beautiful little reprint here in Phantasmal Image as a part of the special guest here in Duskmourn. we do have the Phantasmal Image. It's 1 and a blue for a 0/0 creature illusion, and you may have the image enter as a copy of any creature on the battlefield except it's an illusion in addition to its other types, and it has, when this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, sacrifice it, which is not very good at all. But for 2 mana, I mean, it's pretty much the lowest going rate for a clone. You can't really get any cheaper than 2 mana when it comes to a good clone effect, even if it does sacrifice itself after being targeted. But let's just look at this disgusting artwork. On the left, you got the real dude. You got the clowny clown face here with his claws and his freaky face, just looking hideous. I just want to kill him with a gun or a rocket launcher. But now there's 2 of them. He's got a friend. Oh, he's Phantasmal Image. So he's got a copy. It is just an image of himself, so it's sort of like blued out, all, you know, like the original artwork, but it's still that disgusting clown. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Speaking of disgusting creatures, next up is the Cackling Slasher. For 3 and a blue, we have a 3/3 creature human assassin. Obviously, it has Death Touch. Look at those hands. And Cackling Slasher enters with a +1/+1 counter on it if a creature died this turn. As far as commons go, this is pretty good. I mean, a 4 mana, essentially 4/4 with Death Touch isn't bad. You know, a 4 mana 3/3 with Death Touch is worse, but obviously you're going to be trying to make sure it enters after something dies. And in black, that's pretty possible. Just look at this thing, dude. It's coming down the stairs. It's got these freakishly long, like, stilt things strapped to its legs, or maybe those even just are its legs. It's kind of hard to really decipher through all the blood and gore. It's wearing a mask. It's got all this leather, you know, bindings all over it, and it's just hideous. I don't like it. It's disgusting, and if it touches you, you'll die. Next up, baby, Dashing Bloodsucker. We got 3 and 1 black for a 2/5 creature vampire warrior. It has Eerie, which is an ability out of the new set here. And whenever an enchantment you control enters, and whenever you fully unlock a room, Dashing Bloodsucker gets +2/+0 and gains lifelink until end of turn. There are worse things here than vampires. But look at dude. Look at fucking Dashing Bloodsucker here, rizzing us up, dude. He's just straight rizzing us up in the hallway. You know what I mean? Like, he comes up to you like, hey, baby, there's worse things than vampires. Like, look at him. Dude he's got this beautiful haircut straight out of, like, the early 80s. Got the little double cut in there for the part. I just love it. Got the high and tight fade going. Beautiful. It looks like he just got done maybe smoking a big blunt. His eyes are hella bloodshot. So I'm not sure. Maybe he just got from a party. Just came back from a party. And I also don't know what this is. He's wearing like maybe like a belt of some sort. It's hard to say. It's got some energy coming out of it. I don't really quite know what's going on. Maybe he's talking on the phone. Maybe this is like a cell phone or something. You let me know down in the comments. What do you think's happening? Oh baby, here we go. Oh man, we went from getting rizzed to getting straight mizzed, baby. Doomsday Excruciator here. We got black, baby. That's 6 black pips for a 6/6 creature demon. It has flying, and whenever the Doomsday Excruciator enters, if it was cast, each player exiles all but the bottom 6 cards of their library face down. At the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card. So this does put you on basically a quicker clock than your opponent, because if each of you have 6 cards and you're drawing 2 cards at the beginning of your upkeep, you've only got 3 turns. But with the Doomsday Excruciator, you should be able to win. And if you can't, you weren't going to win anyway, buddy. I'm sorry. This thing's absolutely horrendous, dude. Ooh, man, imagine this thing in a Devotion deck. Youch. But more specifically, look at the art, okay? So we got the demon, obviously, in the middle. He has 6 horns, okay? He's got 6 demonic balls of essence around him. He even has 6 fingers on each hand, baby. Beautiful. 6 eyeballs, okay? He's got 6 eyes. What else does he got 6 of? Maybe something we can't see? Something under that cloak of his? Who knows? I think this card is just really cool. He would be a little bit better if he had trample as well, because flying, while good, can be blocked not only by flying, but just by reach. So having a little trample would really help him push that additional damage in before you lose the game in 3 turns. Next up, baby, let's play a game. We got 3 in the black for a sorcery with Delirium. Choose one if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. Choose 1 or more instead. Creatures your opponent control get -1/-1 until end of turn. Each opponent discards 2 cards, or each opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. Not necessarily very good if you're picking just one of these options, but the fact that once Delirium goes off, you can pick all of these is pretty good. For an uncommon, that's pretty strong. So late game, you got Delirium, you start hitting all these triggers, you're gonna feel pretty good for 4 mana. But more specifically, this disgusting artwork. Oh man, in the background we've got like floating screens, so we got like the screens back here with this freaky guy, watching as these 2 whoever they are, these 2 folks try to escape this very disturbing hallway. The hallway is crumbling beneath their feet, and the hallway, you can't even tell where it's going. It's in the air, it's over here, it's upside down and all around. Basically, this is something out of a Dr. Seuss house, and there's a freaky guy watching you the whole time, basically laughing at you, watching you die. That must really suck. Yeah, this is just a really good artwork. I just love the feeling of absolute, let's play a game. You know what I mean? Let's just fuck with you. Oh, baby. Next up, one of my personal favorites here is Meat Hook Massacre 2. You guys may be familiar with the original Meat Hook Massacre. Obviously, this is a little different here. So we got black, swamp here for a legendary enchantment, and whenever the Meat Hook Massacre 2 enters, each player sacrifices X creatures. Whenever a creature you control dies, you may pay 3 life. If you do, return that card under your control with a finality counter on it. And whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, they may pay 3. If they don't, return that creature card under your control with a finality counter on it. And the finality counter means if it would die instead, exile it. So simply here, we just have basically a more expensive and slightly more pushed version of the Meat Hook Massacre. It might even be more fair, some would say. It's hard to really tell without some play testing first. But just look at this artwork, dude. So in the background, we got like this vent, like this fan shaft, like a duct with a fan spinning here. And in this room, we got the butcher. One hand is just straight up a butcher's blade, and he's just cutting stuff up, just hanging up some meat. He's got like a little rabbit up here. He's got one of the beastie masks from one of the beasties. He's got a couple of zombies, couple of human hands. I don't know, man. Maybe a rib cage. Very, very disgusting. But what I think is really cool about this art is the fact that there's 2 variants. So we have this other variant here that's just completely different. I mean, in the terms of there's this freaky long neck critter just crawling around. Just crawling around, having a good time. He's probably hungry. He might be his pet, maybe even. Look at him. He's gone, then he's here. Beautiful. Next up, let's go to red, baby. What we got in red? Fear of Burning Alive. That is an actual fear. So for 4 in red, we have a 4/4 enchantment creature, Nightmare. And whenever Fear of Burning Alive enters, it deals 4 damage to any opponent. It has Delirium. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, if there are 4 or more card types among card types in your graveyard, Fear of Burning Alive deals that much damage to target creature that player controls. Pretty good stuff. 6 mana for a 4/4, not too bad, but his abilities do make up for it. And just look at this thing, dude. You can't even really describe it. It's like a centaur made out of bird legs and praying mantis feet. It's got people, spirits of the people, screaming, dying. They probably all died in a fire. You could imagine. Not good, dude. Not good. Ooh, here we go. This is even worse. This is even worse. Grab the prize, baby. Next up. So for 1 and a red, it's a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card and draw 2 cards. If the discarded card wasn't a land card, grab the prize, deals 2 damage to each opponent. Actually, it's a pretty strong common here, especially for a discard card, and it's just a really good card all around for red. But look at this sick artwork. Essentially, it's like this gross clown, maybe even a statue. It's kind of hard to say, but he's got the key. You know, he's got the prize right there in his mouth. Do you want to grab for that though? Dude, I have nightmares about that all the time. Like when I was a kid, I'd reach into candy bowls like in my dreams. And a hand would grab me. A hand. So this is, similar to that. This is a mouth, a clown's spiky, gross mouth. It's even worse. It's just disgusting. Next up, baby. Speaking of totally disgusting, we've got Overlord of the Boiler. Next up, we got Overlord of the Boiler Bilges. So it's 4 and a red for a 5/5 enchantment creature avatar horror, and it has impending 4 for 2 and red. And whenever Overlord of the Boiler Bilges enters or attacks, it deals 4 damage to any target. You give this thing haste. Ouch, okay? Ouch. Look how disgusting. Okay, so it's basically their boilers. Like the boilers in the basement have come alive. So it's got like steam. It's got the furnace like right inside of it. Heat is emanating from the creature. It's got these glowing claws on its hands. Oh man, look at its mouth. It's got like 15 eyes, dude. You're not gonna hide from this thing. You are not gonna hide from this thing. It's hideous. And it's a strong card. Ugh. Alright, baby. Next. Oh, here we go. Roller Crusher Rye. We got X, 2 and a red for a legendary enchantment with Delirium. If a source you control will deal non-combat damage to a permanent or player while there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, it deals double that damage instead. And whenever the Roller Crusher Ride enters, it deals X damage to each of up to X target creatures. So it can pretty much wipe the board if you need it to. And it does double the amount of non-combat damage you deal. So it can be a pretty strong finisher in red. But my favorite part is that it's a fucking roller coaster, baby. I love roller coasters. Always have, always will. I'd even ride this one, okay? Not gonna lie. I'd probably die on it because look at what's going on here. You've got these monstrous hall crawlers just like all over the roller coaster, basically waiting for people to pass by, probably to rip them out of the coast, I would imagine. But hey, if you make it through the ride, you're a survivor. Alright, baby, next up. Trial of Agony. Ooh, 1 red for a sorcery. Choose 2 target creatures controlled by the same opponent. That player chooses one of those creatures. Trial of Agony deals 5 damage to that creature, and the other can't block this turn. It's really flavorful, really cute, not very strong. The problem is it lets your opponent pick the creature, those creatures. So you do get to choose the damage, but they get to pick their creatures. So if they've got a couple of little 1/1 tokens and you're really trying to get rid of the Shieldred, they're going to pick the 1/1. They're going to say, here, you can target this instead. And that's not very good. But for 1 red mana, 5 damage is a pretty good rate. And I love this artwork. In the background, you got someone watching these 2 guys here struggling for their lives. They're connected in a game of tug of war, and whoever loses is gonna get ground up. Okay? That sucks. That freaking sucks. And just like the card we saw before, there's some psychopath watching the whole thing. Man, all it took to shatter their lifelong bond was a scrap of hope. Shit. Alright, baby, on to Green Balustrade Worm. For 3 green. We get a 5/5 creature worm. The spell can't be countered. It has trample. It has haste. It has Delirium for 2 green. Return Balustrade Worm from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. Activate only if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, and only as a sorcery. So I did mention the entire world is in the mansion. I forget the mansion's name. Maybe you'll let me know down in the comments. But of course, we have stairs in the mansion that are just straight up demonic worms, okay? You know, you're trying to crawl up these steps from a long day's work or whatever. You're going to get ate. You know, this dude's not ready. He's not having a good day. If you notice, there's not even anyone alive around him. He probably ate them all already. I think it would be kind of funny to see someone trying to run up the stairs to escape him, sort of falling into his mouth. The card is super strong. Can't be countered. It's got trample. It's got haste. Good body on the thing. And I like that it's not legendary, because if it was, it just wouldn't be quite as impactful. I really love this artwork. I like that it's just terrorizing the house, and that there's just like trees growing up everywhere. You can still see, you know, parts of the wall in the back though. The chandelier is still hanging from the ceiling there. Beautiful stuff. Let's go. Fear of Exposure. So for 2 and a green, you get a 5/4 enchantment creature, Nightmare, and as an additional cost to cast a spell, tap 2 untapped creatures and or lands you control, and it has trample. So it sort of has like semi-convoke in a way, or you're just going to be paying 5 mana. So it's really not that terrible. A 5 mana 5/4 with trample. It is an enchantment creature. More specifically though, this artwork, it gives me Nephilim vibes from back in the day, from back in the original Guild Pack set, a Ravnica set, if you guys remember the Nephilim. But you know, it reminds me of them. It's got this big, large mouth with all these teeth, little heads hanging out. I just don't know. They're like screaming. There's like this sort of like a green ooze, like a scent sort of vaporing out of its mouth. Ugh. It's only got 2 legs, but the legs are its arms. Really creepy, dude. It's just really creepy. Next up, baby, Omnivorous Flytrap. It's 2 and a green for a 2/4 creature plant. It has Delirium, and whenever the Flytrap enters or attacks, if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, distribute 2 +1/+1 counters among 1 or 2 target creatures. Then if there are 6 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, double the number of +1/+1 counters on those creatures. This is a really strong card. In Limited, it's strong. If you build properly around this in Standard, it's super busted, I can already imagine. Look at this artwork. It's giving me little Shop of Horrors vibes. You know, feed me, Seymour, feed me. You know, you got the little plant here. He's just hungry. And if you notice, he's got someone's like sweater sort of stuck to his teeth, like he just got done eating them, dude. And of course, he's got his babies all around him. Just so cute, the little babies. Next up, we got this nasty thing, Patchwork Beastie. 1 green for a 3/3 artifact creature beast. It's got Delirium, and it can't attack or block unless there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may mill a card. Not the best card. It does nothing for the first few turns, but it does help you mill. It didn't even know it isn't real. Okay. But this thing's hideous. I don't know, something about that mask, something about its little robotic arm. I mean, it's got this little arm, dude. It's just weird. It's very weird. Oh, speaking of weird, Twitching Doll. For 1 and a green, we have a 2/2 artifact creature, Spider Toy. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color and put a nest counter on the doll. And then also you can tap it, sacrifice Twitching Doll, create a 2/2 green spider creature token with reach for each counter on Twitching Doll. Activate only as a sorcery. This is hideous. Okay, it's a porcelain doll whose porcelain face has fallen away to reveal this absolutely putrid and disgusting cat face that is literally made out of insects and spiders. It's an insect spider-faced doll. Ooh, baby. I mean, imagine this thing chasing you and then dumping all of its spiders onto you. It's horrendous. It's horrendous. Oh, speaking of horrendous, Brood Spinner, baby. We got 1 black, 1 green for a 2/3 creature spider with reach, and whenever it enters, you surveil 2. And also, you can pay 4 and black, green to tap, sacrifice Brood Spinner, create a number of 1/1 black and green insect creature tokens with flying equal to the number of card types among cards in your graveyard. A 2-mana 2/3 reach is already pretty strong. The fact that it surveils, and I love its second ability there, making it an all-around pretty good uncommon. I just love spiders. And look at this little googly-eyed thing. Talk about adorable. I'd probably have a whole nest of these. If I lived in the mansion, I'd be a survivor, and I'd have a spider. I'd be a survivor with a spider. Next up, we got Oblivious Bookworm, 1 green and a blue for a 2/3 creature human wizard. At the beginning of your end step, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card unless a permanent entered the battlefield face down under your control this turn, or you turned a permanent face up this turn. Not the worst card. It's definitely a build around. It's a little cutie. More specifically, this artwork really just gets me. I love the fact that he's sort of listening out for the ghosts, for the spirits, with his little range finder there, his little sonar thing. His light is just sitting on the floor. He's just dazed, just sort of sleeping, sort of dazed off. And then, boom, just like that, the entire time, he's being attacked by a long neck. I mean, yuck. It's grabbing him like by his head, dude. He might already be under its spell. Man, poor guy. That poor guy. Yeah, that's horrendous. Next up, the Jolly Balloon Man. Next up, we got the Jolly Balloon Man. For 1, a red and a white, we have a 1/4 legendary creature human clown with haste. And for 1, you can tap, create a token that's a copy of another target creature you control, except it's a 1/1 red balloon creature in addition to its other colors and types, and it has flying and haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Activate only as a sorcery. Okay, not only is this just a really good, like, little Kiki-Jiki type card, you know, with it creating copies and sacrificing these copies, this thing is freaking disgusting. Not only are clowns disgusting, but look at this guy. He's like a little shriveled up, pasty little man blowing up human heads, okay? And somehow he's blowing them up with his mouth and they're floating, okay? That's not how that works. Helium, he doesn't have helium. You need helium to make things float. And a person's head is pretty heavy, so, you know, compared to a balloon. So, I don't know. I mean, I get the artwork is evocative, but it just doesn't quite make sense. Now, if he was an elemental, it would, because he could be like a helium elemental, but he's a freaking human. Humans, we don't breathe helium. So, but other than that, the card's freaking grody. It's definitely going to give me a nightmare. Last but not least, speaking of nightmares, we got freaking Marvin the Murderous Mimic. For 2, he's a 2/2 legendary artifact creature toy, and Marvin the Murderous Mimic has all activated abilities of creatures you control that don't have the same name as this creature. Okay, Marvin is hideous. He's a marionette. It's quite obvious by his little strings, his face, his mouth. He's got that little separation there for his little chattering mouth. Oh man, that's disgusting. Oh man, I don't know. Something about marionettes, dude. Look at this thing. Imagine this thing chasing you around the house and no one's controlling it. No one's controlling it. It's just chasing you around. And it's got a sword, like a freaking sword. In a moment of bloodthirsty whimsy, a razorkin once picked up a ventriloquist puppet and used it to terrorize a survivor. Now it hunts on its own, with no one pulling its strings. Nah, you can keep Marvin. You can keep Marvin. There you have it. Absolutely disgusting stuff out of the new set, Duskmourn. What do you guys think about these cards? Do they seem strong to you? More importantly, does the artwork give you a sense of dread? Are you going to go home tonight and cry into your pillow? Let me know down in the comments. I will leave my Patreon on screen and down in the description below. Feel free to support the channel any way you like. I do have multiple tier lists for you guys to check out. That's going to be just about it for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that little bell to be notified for future videos. And stick around on the channel with some of these fine videos here. And I'll see you next time. Peace.